When starting a business, the most valuable resource that you have is the attention that you put on actually building the business that you're trying to build. One of the things that struggled, especially in the early days, was hitting points where I felt like I needed to do another thing, another tactic, another strategy, I need to write a blog. I need to run my YouTube channel. I need to add all these things on top. And what I found is over time, as you continue to add things, you're creating additional complexities that are taking your attention away from the main thing that is driving your business. And you're distracting yourself, and it basically stunts ultimately the growth that you have in your business. It wasn't until that I pared everything down, took a step back, and said, hey, what are the pieces of the business that I actually enjoy doing that actually bring in revenue, where things really started to shift. For me, that occurrence happened in it was around 2018 in December. At that point in time, I had kind of like three different modalities of my business. I was doing retail arbitrage, so Amazon FBA, where I would find products, take them off the shelf of local stores, and resell them on Amazon. I had a private label business where I had sourced products from China and was in the process of building a brand, and was going to be launching that. That actually catastrophically failed and is a story for another time. And then the other part of my business was I was doing a little bit of marketing consultant for a couple of organizations here in the local Cincinnati area. And when I took a step back and actually asked myself the question, like, what do I actually enjoy out of this? Where do I feel like I'm actually adding the value? And what is the kind of like time to revenue equation look like? And what I found was, at the end of the day, the most money that I was making at that point in time was through my consulting, and it actually took the least amount of time, because usually I would only meet with a client once a week and or bi-weekly depending on the client, and we would simply have a conversation. We'd have some activity, we would launch that activity, and then check the results in the next week or two. And it wasn't until that I went all in on servicing clients and saying, hey, how do I build out my client business, and really focused on that period of time, where everything shifted. And all of a sudden I went from, making a couple $100s a month in just kind of like side income to a few $1,000s a month, which ultimately then scaled to 5 figures a month, which I'm blessed to be at the point that I am, working with some amazing entrepreneurs. But at the end of the day, when it really boiled down, was me focusing on kind of that one core service that exponentially pushed things forward. Now, there's a graph that people talk about where it's kind of, most businesses follow this graph where you start things, you start going. Basically, every business kind of has this modality where everything is linear at the beginning, and then all of a sudden things start to take off. The problem is so this axis is time, this is revenue, profit, whatever you want to call it. The problem is most people change directions too early. So you start making some money, things are looking good, you're moving in the right direction, and then you ask yourself the question, like, what more can I do? What do I need to add in order to continue to scale this? Rather than doubling down on the thing that's driving your revenue and staying on this curve. The problem is, as soon as you add something on top, you're now restarting this curve, because you're focused now. You're no longer focused on the one thing that's driving revenue. You're focused on this other thing that you now have to build up. And over time, you don't get to the finish line. You keep kind of going from tactic and strategy to tactic and strategy, and you never ultimately end up breaking through that. So the way that I look at it is now that I'm at this point in my business where I'm averaging 5 figures a month, where I can say, hey, I'm going to take this sliver of time, this 2 to 4 hour chunk of time, and I'm going to dedicate that toward investing into something like this, like creating content for this channel, or investing into having conversations with other entrepreneurs where there could be like a partnership type agreement. And I can start to expand what I'm doing, but it wasn't until I hit the point from an income perspective that that I could really even ask this question, because every single time that I had shifted and tried to change paths, you're starting over from scratch. So the biggest downfall of most entrepreneurs is they don't come to the realization that this curve exists. And if you keep pressing forward and keep pushing the one thing that's driving your revenue, what you'll find is you'll start to see the exponential growth of what you're doing, and you forego the distraction of and honestly, life gets really simple when you boil things down to like the core thing and the core value that you're bringing. So for me as well, so I shifted to only doing consulting. And one of the things that I noticed when I was doing the consulting is I would add on services. So at first it was kind of like a generalist. I do marketing consulting. I help people with funnels and Facebook and YouTube and all these different pieces. What I did was I looked at the different things that I was doing and said, what is actually getting the most result for the clients that I'm working with? And what I came to the conclusion of is the big thing, my big domino was YouTube. How can I, if I go in and start working on a YouTube channel, I can get the YouTube channel moving, and I can really ebb and scale a YouTube channel from a revenue and a subscriber based perspective. And that's my unique ability. As a function of that, if I focus in on that thing, I can get 10x results for folks. I had one client that I brought in October of last year. After we started, it only took us a month to go from a mid 4-figure channel to a 5-figure channel. A month. That's all it took. All I had to do was go in, make the changes that I know work for growing adding in revenue streams to that particular channel, and then implementing the strategies that ultimately took them from averaging between 4,000 and 5,000 subscribers a month to 40,000 to 50,000 subscribers a month. So in just a short period of time, 1 to 2 months, not only have I added a ton of value into this particular client, they now see the value of what I do and are now willing to refer me to other people. And that's how the dominoes continue to fall and give you the ability to scale. Had I not focused in on that one thing, as you start to pare things down, what's nice is it also gives you the ability to charge more. Now, because you're not just a generalist doing everything, where you have kind of like a set fee structure, you now have the ability to say, hey, I know that I can get you these results, and you're going to see an ROI in a very reasonable time frame. It now gives you the ability to say, hey, I'm going to charge, rather than charging $1,000 or $2,000 a month for all of these things, I'm now going to charge you the same $2,000, but I'm only going to take this small piece. And that gives me the flexibility to now I can scale out to multiple people, because I know that if you put me in this area, that's where I'm going to get the most outsized returns. So you really need to focus in on your business of like, what is the value proposition that you're bringing to your clients? What is the value that you're truly adding? And how can I get them the result that they're looking for in the shortest amount of time so that they can understand why I charge the premium that I charge? At the end of the day, there are lots of different ways to approach business. There are, if you're trying to help hundreds of thousands of people, you're only going to be able to charge a certain amount, because the amount of time and effort that you're going to have to create something with a lot of leverage. When you are working with people who are really looking to scale their business and really create an impact, and you have that one specific thing that you know that you can get outsized returns for, it gives you a lot more flexibility in what you charge them. And especially if you're somebody who's at the top of your game in a particular field, there's not many people who are in the YouTube space that actually do what I do. And because of that, it gives me a lot of flexibility where I can charge a little bit more, knowing that there isn't many people that could potentially do what I do. And Also, I know that I can actually, with the value that they're providing, I know that I can get a return on that investment very quickly. So at the end of the day, when building your business, you want to make sure that you're focused rather than diversified in all these different like providing a ton of products and programs. Start with one core thing, and have that be the base, and don't expand beyond that thing until you hit the point where you have enough income coming in to where it could potentially make sense. For me, that was, I want to get to the point where my business supports the lifestyle that I want to have. And then that is now giving me the flexibility where I can invest into other areas like creating this content or investing in other investment opportunities above and beyond my lifestyle. So at the end of the day, the key is you got to focus on what it is you're doing in your business. Otherwise, you will find yourself distracted and always recycling on this side of the curve where everything's linear, everything takes forever, and getting to profitability is much more of a heavy lift. Now, if you want to see a couple of different business models of what I have done in the past, and generally speaking, how long it takes to get to that level, you can check out this video right here, where I go through kind of the 3 business models that exist. Most businesses fall into one of these 3 categories. So if you want to check that video out, click on this video right here, and I'll see you over there.